Yes.
To be part and live their fullest potential. So that's basically my passion. And apart from that, I'm also an engineer in mining engineering from the Copperbelt University. Yes, here in Zambia, for those that are not in Zambia. Yeah, that's a brief about me.
Thank you very much, sir. We really appreciate it. This particular time, I'll allow Dr. Nyambose, sir, Joseph Nyambose, to introduce yourself, sir, so that our audience can get to know you, sir.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Mlanda, for this opportunity that you've given me and everyone who is present. I'm not going to take much time just to introduce myself. My names are Joseph Nyambose. I believe some of you guys, you've seen my names on Facebook, Life at Focal Point. That's what what I always like use to describe myself. Apart from that, I am the holder of master's degree. I completed it this year, 20 master's degree and my second master's degree. So I believe, and we're going to learn more. And I want to really thank the organizer of the program, especially the presence of Francis Mwamba. He's really a great man and he has really inspired me. Yeah, so seeing him here is really a good thing. Yeah, that's what I can say.
So thank you very much. I think I'm having a challenge with my network, but let me just try to switch the Wi-Fi. I observed that there is an echo coming from the background. I think it's my network. So before it misbehave. Can you get me? Can the audience get?
Yes, we can get you, sir.
All right. So at first, we're going to deal first with finances, then we're going to deal with academics. I understand, both of these guys are all graduates. They are really doing great in the society, and we are really humbled. And we divided them into two parts. Each and every man, I know both of them are strong in both areas, but I've seen from my personal level, I've seen, both of them have got passion in these two different areas. So at this particular time, I'll allow Mr. Francis to talk to us about how can we change the narrative. We have seen that 2020 has not been an easy year for many of our business men and women. We have seen countries going down. And at our own personal level, what can we do in order to make sure that we strengthen our financial? Yes. So what can we do in order to strengthen our financial muscle in regards to preparation for 2021, sir? If we're hit again with the pandemic,
okay.
God forbid, we'll not be hit with that.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Sir, you can unmute yourself. I muted all the participants. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So thank you so much. I just forgot to mention in my introduction that I've met Mr. Joseph before, Mr. Nyambozi. He actually visited us in Lusaka and we've had interaction before. So it's a great honor to share this platform with such a thing as a coincidence, but I don't believe this is a coincidence. I think the fact that we've met before and again we've met on this platform from different connections means a lot to me, and I'm greatly humbled to be speaking on the platform with him today. So going directly into the question of today, where how do we see ourselves financially coming 2021, especially that 2020 has not been a very good year for the majority, in that we were hit by COVID, people lost their jobs, and meaning a lot of things will be shaken as we'll be moving into 2021. So I know a lot of us are expectant and hoping 2021 will be a more lighter year as compared to how 2020 has been. But I think it will be a lighter year based on how you prepare yourself and how you position yourself. So it's a year that is equally has potential of producing the same results as 2020 if we do not keep an open eye and be able to be on the lookout for some of the things that 2020 has taught us. So to start your financial year as you prepare for 2021, I would like to encourage everyone to sit down, take a good few hours, good few days. You can spread your days to think critically and analyze how your 2020 has been. So write 2020 review on top. Say, get a piece of paper or on your computer and write 2020 financial review. Review the entire year. Look at where you slacked. Look at the areas that you thought were a challenge and what are the lessons that you picked. If you did not meet your set targets, what was the challenge? What barriers that did 2020 present that you couldn't handle correctly? And this roadmap will help you know what you need to change in 2021. So like there's a saying that goes, if you do today what you did yesterday, you get the same results as yesterday's. So if we do in 2021 what we did in 2020, we'll get the same results we got in 2020. So there'll be no progress. It will be just a continuous curve. Like the line, it will be a straight line, no change, no up, no down if we do the same stuff. So if we want to have a bigger 2021, we need to be intentional and be deliberate about it. So by this, I mean, you need to set clear goals and outline areas that you need to focus your energy on. So one thing that I've noted in the way 2020 has been running is that it presented a lot of opportunity for spending because, like I've said, people have lost their jobs, people were not productive enough, meaning we spent a lot of money as compared to how much we were bringing in. So meaning 2021 should be more focused on trying to recover on those spendings that we made because we did not balance them with the bringing in of more cash. So how do you get to recover from the over expenditure you made last year and still make a higher progress in 2021? So be decisive about where you want to see yourself in 2021. And the challenges of COVID, I hear there's a second wave, there's rumors of this and this. So we need to be able to see, okay, what did COVID teach? What are some of the opportunities that if it were to repeat, it would still come with? So like, for example, if your business is not in the digital space, if your business or maybe your work is not utilizing platforms like WhatsApp, Facebook, like Zoom meetings like we are having, that means you'll be lagging behind. So it's time to say, okay, what tools can work in a space where people are restricted with movement, where my clients, if your business deals with meeting directly with your clients, that end of the deal has been affected by COVID, how best you jump and still survive? So meaning there's need for remodeling of business and project ideas. How do you still continue with your mentorship lessons? How do you still continue with meeting your clients? So if it means putting a delivery system in place, this is the time to start planning for those. What other people are you going to partner with that will help you to meet certain challenges that were presented in 2021, in 2020 that is. So financially, on a personal level, this is a year to tighten the belts. This is a year to plant more and recover on the spending so the difference between someone who plans and someone who just works with what comes. Because if you work with what comes, you easily even buy into excuses to say no, because people are not making money, because people are not working. You buy the excuse to say no, in 2020 I didn't do this and this because there was COVID-19. But it is in the same year that other entrepreneurs have made the most money. The same year that everyone is complaining that they didn't do much is the same year that other entrepreneurs that have made a lot of money. So how did those entrepreneurs do it? They were open-minded. They were looking on the changes and they were quick to switch gears. They saw that this is not working quickly. They moved to this alternative move. And by switching gears, it's not about changing your entire business model, but it's about noticing certain parts of it that needs replacing, certain parts of it that needs to be done differently. So this is the core that we need to have in 2021. And this really gets to be achieved if you set a clear and concise plan for your year ahead. So we still have a few days to 2021, and hence there's still room for someone to plan ahead. It's not too late. Even today, after the close of this meeting, sit yourself down and write basic targets and plans that you'd want to see be attained in 2021. So from the the personal level, like, negative move are you going to put in place? So plan for a good year and also plan for the worst case scenario. What happens if it's not according to the way I'm seeing it to be? How do I get to still make my goals possible? And I'm looking at it, like I had said earlier, to say most people have lost their jobs. So if they are students, meaning your parents will not be able to afford, how do you come in as a student? Do you still wait for a time when you'll be out of university to start pushing certain things? So this is a time now to wake up, even as a student, to say, okay, my parents have a burden, they're no longer in employment, or maybe their wages have been cut because their work is not moving. How do I come in and start to learn to survive and be able to provide not only for myself, but create a path that will be able to reach me towards financial independence, which should be the goal of every individual. So maybe just to summarize what I've said, this is the year to review 2020. Sit down with yourself, write what has worked and what has not worked in 2020, and then set clear and concise, compelling goals for your 2020 if you are to even achieve a part of it. For the business people, it's time to remodel our business and be able to put in strategies that will still cover us in case of another second wave of COVID-19 or even something else. For my colleagues who are in Zambia, this is an election year we are going into. What opportunities does it present? How do you position yourself that you are able to be one of the beneficiaries of those opportunities that year will bring? How do you remain creative and relevant in such a year? So it's a year where there's threat of peace. There's a year where there's likelihood of another COVID wave and a lot of other uncertainties, but how do you still remain on top of the game? It can only be done by planning and clearly looking at all the angles and areas regarding your business, regarding your financial life. Yeah, so that's a bit in a nutshell how I'm seeing 2020 to go into 2022. Yeah.
So you're muted.
So it's all about strategic planning, right? But one last question, sir, before we go to our next speaker in regards with academic excellence. Sir, we have seen in the same year, 2020, where people are complaining of businesses shutting down, while people are, were selling their businesses. Entrepreneurs stopped going into different multiple sources of income. We have seen that this is the year where you have made massive development at your own personal level. We have seen you buying a car in the very same year. We have seen you author a book which has sold massively amongst the countrymen. We have seen you build your own chicken run. We have seen you build your own apartment in the very year where people are complaining. What are some of the things that you have done that other youths as well can apply in their lives to make sure that they get maybe similar results to the ones that you are getting right now?
Okay. Yeah, so thank you so much. So basically for me, I think like I've said, it's just being in a space where you do not allow yourself to make excuses, regardless of the position you're put in. So like I've said, this year has been rough for the majority, but for the people that were prepared for anything, they have actually benefited more. Because I can give you an example. In this same year, I left university, and after leaving university, because graduation, I finished in November last year. This is like the first year I've been out of university. And I found myself in a COVID state where I would have made the excuse of saying, no, this is a year where I will just try to scale down so that I just allow myself to be there. But I took it upon myself to say I need to be aggressive. If the year is aggressive on me, I also need to be aggressive and be on top of the game. So I tried to remodel my businesses. I tried to, like the same concepts I've shared, I tried to put myself in a lot of spaces. If this business is not fully working optimally, I try to see what another source that can still give me the results I need. And for example, for me, the advantage has been I've never been in a space where I'm running not less than 3 businesses at the same time. So I always have like a minimum 3 streams that are bringing in something at any given time. So you find maybe one stream is the only one that is affected by COVID. These other 2 are still sustaining me. Maybe it's 2, but still one would still stand. So there's no time where all the streams I have are dry. There's always one that is flowing while others are still trying to maybe still be worked on. So it's important to remain strategic and know exactly what you want out of the year. So maybe to disclose this. So like when I released the book, Making Your First 100,000, people were still in denial of saying, this guy that looks like this, how can he talk about making 100,000? What does he know about money? So you find that for me, that was motivation. While everyone was debating whether I have 100,000 or not, I was moving on my goals. I was still pushing, and I've done numbers that maybe are more than even 4 times that number in just a space of this same year, where everyone is still doubting whether you have 100,000 or not. It's a year that I've actually pushed progress. So it's not in a state where you need to prove a point to the people, but prove a point to yourself. Like I've been in worst case scenarios where, like if you've read my book, I've shared a story where I failed the exams that I needed to repeat the year, and I needed to raise money to pay for my school fees. So for me, that situation where I needed to attend class full time and still raise the money really taught me to be tough in any situation. So don't make excuses. Allow people to make excuses, but not yourself. You can allow yourself. How rough it can get. If you are determined and you've set clear goals, your mind is big enough to process new ways and create paths towards reaching that goal. So it's the determination and the everyone is talking the negative. If you add to that negative, you also be part of the majority. But if everyone is talking negative, how best you come out positive? In the same year that everyone is complaining that this is not achievable, how best can you come out? So taking time to invest in yourself, read as wide as you can, research, learn how others are actually making progress in these same difficult years. I'll give an example. Elon Musk, the founder of Tesla, the CEO of Tesla, this year alone has added over 130 billion to his net worth. In the same year where everyone is complaining about COVID, in this same year, Jeff Bezos has added 100 billion to his net worth. In the same year that everyone is complaining that things are not moving. So it's what is the situation at hand? And that is why entrepreneurship comes in. Entrepreneurship is adapting to change. How quickly you adapt to change. You see this change coming, you look at the opportunities it is presenting and quickly jump in and see how you can make the maximum use of that opportunity. So it's basically, for me, the progress has been consistency, being decisive, being determined, and clearly knowing what I want to do at a particular time or with the time of that year. So that's a breakdown of what has really made me stay.
So, thank you very much, Mr. Francis. We really appreciate. So, my fellow attendants who are on the platform, we need to work on ourselves. I've seen part of the message that Mr. Francis is preaching. Read before social media, which is very effective in terms of investing on yourself. So at this particular time, I would like you to keep your questions. Today we are interacting, we are concluding our meeting. So all the questions that we're having for Mr. Francis, please kindly jot them down, write them in the chat box so that you address them. This is the last time that we're having our meeting this year and we're concluding. You need to make sure that you ask all the questions that you're having. So at this particular time, we'll allow Dr. Nyambose, sir, to come on board. Sir, we really appreciate Mr. Francis. We're still with you, sir. We're still with you.
I'm still here. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Dr. Nyambose, sir.
All right. Thank you so much. Like during the introduction, I was kind of rushing, so allow me just to give a brief background of my academic path, since I've been assigned to just share what I know about academic excellence. So in 2011, I came to Russia.
Sir, you can kindly unmute yourself.
We can't hear.
Yes, sir, you can kindly unmute yourself. Yes.
All right. So I was saying, like, in the introduction, I was trying to rush, you see, but allow me just to give a brief introduction of my academic path, since the topic is to do with academic excellence. So I was saying, like, in 2011, I came to Russia to pursue my bachelor's degree, and in 2016, I graduated and then went home in Zambia. I stayed in Zambia for about 2 years. Of course, I have to explain to everyone here that life wasn't that easy, because you see, every graduate, when you finish school, you opt to look for employment. So I tried to do the best I could, but things were not working out for me. And then in 2017, I resorted to again, because like with my bachelor's degree, I wanted to get into academics, maybe to apply at a college to teach there, but I was told to say, just with your bachelor's degree, we cannot allow you, so you have to get a teaching methodology. So I enrolled again whilst in Zambia there at Rockview University. I believe you guys, you know about that university. So I enrolled for a teaching methodology until in 2018, end of 2018, I graduated with a diploma in teaching methodology. Now, in the process of pursuing my teaching methodology, I used to work at Russian Center, like teaching the students there. And then that's when again I applied for a scholarship. And well, everything went well. And I was again selected for a scholarship to pursue my master's degree. So I came to Russia in 2018 to pursue my master's degree in biotechnology. So in 2018, I enrolled, I started my academic path for a master's degree. And in 2020, I graduated my master's degree in biotechnology. But when I came here in Russia in 2018, well, as my brother, Mr. Francis said, you see, it's all about, well, the strategy and you as an individual. When I came here, you see, due to the circumstances I went through home, well, I tried to look for employment here. The moment I came to Russia as a student, you see, you have to hustle and all that. So I tried to look for an employment and I got a job at an international school. Right now, I'm working at a British Lyceum International School in Moscow. And in the course, I resorted to say, well, since this opportunity, like I found this opportunity, then I can again get to enroll for another master's degree. So in 28 masters, and then I enrolled running 2 programs at the same time. So I was running, like I was in second year, like for my first master's. So I used, like I'm funding myself this second master's in chemistry. And right now I'm doing my second year. But upon completion of the biotechnology masters in 2020, the university gave me the opportunity again to continue with my studies for a PhD. So right now I'm pursuing my PhD. I'm in my first year with my PhD. So that's actually the brief background of my academic path. Of course, the journey has been rough, but you see, believing in yourself and being determined, and of course, upholding your goals, what you want to be in life is the key. Now, to begin this, what I prepared, since the talk is to do with academic excellence, you see, there are a lot of quotes that I believe you guys, you've read. The first quote, somebody said, an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. You see, pays the best interest. So this quote was said by Benjamin Franklin. I believe you've gotten to read this quote at some point. Then somebody again, Malcolm X, said, education is the best passport to the future. For me, education is still, well, the key to succeed. I know, of course, like now somebody would ask to say, because I saw like some arguments on Facebook where, well, somebody said, is education really the key to success? Well, it depends on how you understand education itself, you yourself, like your personal understanding of it. But you realize that even as Mr. Francis mentioned, for you to be an entrepreneur, to understand the dynamics of like entrepreneurship, you cannot deny the fact that you have to first be trained. Like there are certain things that you have to embark on, and then you read and you study and you master those things. So that process actually equips you to adapt to the environment. Of course, we can try to give a scenario whereby, well, somebody who has got all the inabilities, he's a businessman and all that, everything going well, and he has never been to school. And a person who has been to school like Mr. Mwamba is an entrepreneur, but the truth of the matter is he's educated. He's got a bachelor's degree. So you see, the skills he has gathered in the university and as well reading and in research, you realize that Mr. Mwamba has actually been able to achieve what he has been able to achieve. You see, so this is actually the introduction that I want to give. Now, to stick to the angular sweep of our subject today, allow me to address the word excellency. Allow me to address the word excellence, what it means. So you realize that excellence, when you to check in the dictionary, you realize that excellence is the quality of being outstanding or extremely good. Now, being outstanding and extremely good, it means a person is found in a competition. It means you are in a group where all the people, they do their best, but then you come out. Now, with this, you realize that when we talk about excellence, for someone to achieve excellence, it's never an accident. It is always a result of high intentions. So you have these intentions that are so high. It is coupled with sincere efforts. Now you realize that excellence itself, again, couples with the intelligent execution of these sincere efforts that you have. And then it represents, you see, the wise choice of many alternative choices. You see, and this does not just come by chance, but you see all that you are going to equip in, like the high intentions, the sincere efforts that you're going to put in, you see, and intelligent execution of these efforts. You realize that they will be able to determine your destiny. They'll be able to determine the destiny. And the other point that I want, so in this regard, you realize that excellence is not an act, but is an habit. So everything that we do is what will actually become. So if you've got high intentions, if like you couple with efforts, you exactly become what actually you do every day. Now you realize that I'm going to quote, you know, my inspiration has really been Miles Monroe. He's really been a great man. So I'm going to let me just get to apologize, guys. I'm in the room, you know, like as students, we've got some other people as well doing their own thing. So I'm sure you're able to get the voice, the background voice, but don't really mind. So now I'm going to just use, of course, the things I believe you guys, you know very well, Miles Monroe. Miles Monroe mentioned very, very important thing, which of course can be applied in entrepreneurship, can as well be applied in academic excellence. He said, in this world where we are, there are two powers that we cannot change, or there are two powers that actually govern our being as humans. The first power he mentioned is time. And the second power he mentioned is change. You cannot change time, and you cannot change, time keeps on going. You see, we dance to the tune of the time, and the change itself that is continuous as well. So you realize that these two powers, they actually control us in one way or the other. But the best is how to manage, again, you realize the two components of these, the time and the change, is the most difficult thing. You realize a lot of us people, we struggle in the way we manage the time. And because we struggle in the way we manage the time, and as well adapting to the change. Mr. Mwamba mentioned a very good point, stressing to say, COVID has brought changes. So it has to take someone to adapt to these changes for that person to survive. So it means you have to bring in all the strategic plans so as you adapt to the change, because there's nothing that you can do. 2021 comes again, COVID. You see, others will be able to survive. They will be able to adapt to the change. Others, it will be very difficult to survive. So this is what he actually said, that the time people were not good at keeping it, even in academics. You know, I love the way these things, they get to join up together. Like to really achieve excellence in life, it again ties up to time, and it again ties up to you as an individual. Now, in this regard, what is the role of an individual? For example, me, I want to say that to achieve excellence in any area, any area in life, you need, and you yourself as an individual, you are the key. If you want to achieve excellence in business, why am I saying individual is the key? Because you know, like yourself, it brings to you as, who are you? The question, as Miles Monroe said. So there is a question of find way in which you do, like in an area where you are good at, and then you draft the plan, and these plans, you realize that they'll be able to give you the results you want to be. For example, myself, my goal is just one day to be declared to be the professor. Now, saying like this is cheap, but in this path, for me to just become a professor, it takes me and me alone. The things I'm going to do, how I'm going to manage the time, how I'm going to manage myself, how I'm going to be true to the goals I've set for myself, are exactly what I'm going to determine for me, like to become a professor. So for example, as an individual, you have to know what is your potential, what can you do? A lot of people do not know what they can do. That's the problem. If your strength, you find it to say, well, it's in business, then that potential, make sure you maximize in that area. My friend, my colleague at work told me this. If you want to succeed in an area, you don't have to diverge. If you pick the path follow the path become and Joseph Nyamboso. Of course, some other people who help the teachings and all that will help, but will help a little. But I've got the power. The last point that I have to explain, as Miles Monroe tried to explain about the time, you realize that the time, the way it is mentioned, even in the Bible, you realize that in the goals that the achievements that we want to achieve in life, there is a stipulated time. We don't have forever. So there is a stipulated time in which you can get to achieve what you want to achieve. For example, we see when you read, like, I'm not trying to be spiritual, but when you read in the book of Job's 14:5, the Lord says, the person's days are determined. And the Lord has given months to each one of us. And he has set a limit in which we cannot exceed. So when you look at that word, it shows to you that our time on earth to achieve whatever we want to achieve is limited. So if we don't invest very well the time and adapt to the change, then it means, of course, we'll continue talking, giving motivation talks, but we'll not be able to get the results. So it's the respect of time, adaptive to change. If we'll be able to manage change and respect time and being true to our goals, then definitely you'll be able to realize your goals and you achieve. I think at this point in time, I'm just going to, well, again, I'm sure you've read the questions Miles Monroe asked. I'm going just to read this and then summarize. Miles Monroe said, if you want to achieve you have to ask, who am I? It explains about identity. A lot of people, we don't know who we are. And again, it says, where am I from? The source. So you can try to answer that question yourself. And it says, why am I here? Why were you born here on earth? So that gives us the purpose. Why are you here for? And then what can I do? That actually gives us what? Potential. Where am I going? Is destiny. So the moment we look at that, we'll be able to do everything within a time frame and be true to our goals and put in all the efforts that it takes. Then we'll be able to reach our destination. So once we answer these questions, I believe we can be able to achieve success, and not just in academics. I think in any area where we feel like, well, we have interest in, like in business and all that. I think for me, that's what is working for me. And I believe that just by employing this, and I've come to master this, definitely, I just have to realize to be the professor someday. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dr. Joseph Nyamboso. Indeed, it has been a pleasure ever since I came to know you about, and just to share this, I think Dr. Joseph Nyamboso will allow me. The man has managed to build himself a mansion, a very big mansion, although I wanted to show it, but there was a problem. Can you get me? Can you get me? Am I muted? Hello? Hello, can you get me?
Yes.
Okay, he's back.
I'm really sorry for that inconvenience. I'm really sorry for that inconvenience. There's a cloud cover here, so it's a bit disturbed due to the snow outside. The weather is very bad. Thank you so much, professor by faith. Very soon, in 2 years' time, you'll be finishing, you'll be completing your PhD, sir. And he has managed to build himself a mansion. I was very much overwhelmed. Apart from studying, he's building his mansion and, you know, buying a lot of land. Thank you very much, sir, for being such a big inspiration. And we are really inspired by your great works. At this particular time, I'll leave the platform to Dr. Art so that he can address the questions, any questions, and further we interact. We're going to interact today just within maybe probably 20 minutes. You ask your questions and how these meetings have impacted your lives ever since you started attending these meetings. This is our last day of our meeting, and we really appreciate for you creating time to be part of this platform. And believe you me, just like what he has said, you know, let me just share this within a minute. Yesterday we were watching with my roommate the documentary of Osama bin Laden. And Osama bin Laden was able to stand against United States because, one, he was educated. He was educated. He understood very well business administration. He understood how to use explosives. He understood about architecture. He mastered the art very well, such that he was able to do the things that he did because of education. So imagine when you combine both education, financial literacy with academic excellence. Imagine how powerful you can become if Osama bin Laden could bomb buildings like that were in United States. Imagine how you can become channeling that energy to something that is positive. So allow me to leave the platform right now to Dr. Art so that he can tell us what to do next. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate for this opportunity. At this point in time, we're going into the time of interactions
Sir,
where we'll have to...
Just a minute, sir. Mr. Francis,
Yes.
We are having any questions for our speakers? Mr. Francis, are you still here?
Yes, I'm still here, sir. I'm very much here.
Yes, yes. So, Dr. Arts, yes, you can kindly allow the questions that are coming in, and so that we can interact. Even Dr. Joseph Nyambose, are you still here?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, all right. So allow some questions, Dr. Arts, you can take over.
Okay, start coming in. You can just unmute your mic and then ask the question. Questions are open. The floor is open. If you've got a question, you can just unmute your mic, then ask. Questions can come through. If possible, you can text them. You can send them through the chat box so that they can be tackled with. Questions, the floor is open. Can you get me? Can people get me?
Yes.
If we've got any questions, we can ask our speakers. You can ask our speakers. You can just unmute your mic, then be ready to ask the questions that you have concerning financial literacy or academic excellency.
Okay. Good evening or good afternoon, everyone. I'm Tembo Carlos from Moscow. So first of all, I'd like to commend you for a really job well done. What you are doing is really amazing, and you should continue with the same initiative. My question is, I heard something about just hold on. Yeah, carrying out financial reviews. How often do you think one must carry out a financial review? Should it be a daily thing, weekly, monthly, or just at the end of the year? What do you think? Thank you.
Mr. Francis. Mr. Francis, sir.
Carlos, right?
Yes.
Yes, Carlos.
Okay, yeah. So from what I believe is that if we need to clearly be in alignment with our goals and our targets, it's important to review our targets and our goals as regularly as possible. So it's recommended that you do it sleeping in the evening. So meaning it should be done at least twice a day for consistent results. But if you're unable to do that, even making sure that so what I normally do personally is I set goals for the whole year. Then I break them down into monthly targets. So let's say in January, what am I supposed to have broken down into targets? What's the target for the month of January? What am I working on? And then during the weeks, I just review to say, am I making progress? By the time I'm closing the month, I would have met that target I've set. So it's basically reviewing them as regularly as possible. There's what they call the law of attraction. The more you look at your goals, the more you think about them, the closer you attract the energy and the opportunities get to be aligned in that direction. So as regular as possible. I think once in a year is very, very, very little effort if you want to achieve your goals. Because if you have track and you have nice, by the time you're reviewing whatever, you haven't even touched or even scratched the surface. So regular reviews actually helps you know whether you're working or maybe you're not working or maybe what improvements you need to put in place. So as regular as possible, if possible, twice a day. I don't know if that helps.
Yeah, it does. Thanks so much.
Okay. Well, questions can still come through. The floor is open. You can just unmute your mic, then ask questions. Yes.
Yo, good afternoon. I wanted to find out on, okay, what can you advise someone? What business can you advise someone to get into? Like a business that where you can make big money.
You can come again, sir, with a question. Mr. Francis, did you get that question?
So,
oh, sorry. I was asking that what business can someone start or do where there's a lot of money? Which one can you encourage someone to get into?
Okay. So, yeah, so is it Michello, right?
Yes, Michelle.
Okay. So one thing I know about business and what business ventures one can go in, I think all business ventures have equal opportunities. So it depends on your line of passion. Because I'll give a practical example. Have you noticed that Apple makes phones, they make tablets, they make PCs, and you also find that they're making a lot of money. It's actually one of the biggest companies in the world. Then you look at a company like, for example, Toyota, they make cars and they're still doing big. And you look at companies like Trade Kings, they sell drinks that we buy at 5 kwacha, jiggies, puffs, biscuits, and they're still making it big. So what that actually teaches is that all businesses are good. So it depends on where your passion is and your interest is. So maybe this also helps me to answer the question. Like most people would ask me to say, what business can I do, Francis, to make my first 100,000? And I did so deliberately in writing my book that I didn't mention or restrict people to a particular line of businesses, because I believe each business has the potential depending on how someone understands it and their level of passion and interest in that path. So the big monies come if you apply your energy where your passion is and your interest is.
Oh, so is it best
clear. You wanted to say something?
Is it best to do a lot of businesses or just a single business?
So one thing that, again, I'll still answer it in the same line. You can start with one thing, but if your passion and your interest want to explore a lot of stuff before you settle for one thing, you can still start with one. If you have another interest, you can still take it up. So I don't normally restrict people to say you should just do one business at a particular time. But what if you have other interests? But if you want to scale up, if you want to make something huge, you can only give a certain amount of attention to a particular kind of work. And that doesn't restrict to say just because you can give yourself your energy and attention to one particular kind of work, you can only do one business. You need to put in systems in place that ensures that even if you're doing 2 or 3 businesses, they are not underfunded or under given attention they require. So you can hire people to do certain types of works for you so that you can be able to be effectively running all the businesses. So it's okay to do multiple businesses, but are you managing? How do you create systems that can allow you to do multiple stuff? And maybe for your knowledge, and maybe, I don't know if you've heard this before, the average millionaire has 7 streams of income. So on average, a millionaire out there has 7 streams of income, meaning he has 7 things that bring in money for him constantly. So that means doing one thing is not enough, but do you have the system in place that can allow you to do multiple things? So start with one. If you see another interest, how do you create a system for it such that it's also given the attention it requires to be able to mature?
Wow. Yes, somebody's got a question?
Sure. Good afternoon, participants. I'm supposing you are getting me, are you?
Yes, we are.
I want to put first things first. One, to appreciate the first speaker for eloquence. What you have said in Zambia.
Oh, thank you so much for that. So like when I was working on my book project, there are a number of publishers that came to mind. But I think the publishing industry in Zambia is still young. So you find most of these small publishers are not yet fully established. So I would advise you go with people that are already established if you want consistency with the work. Because, okay, just not to sound too negative, but when I went into the authorship industry, I found that there was still a lot of groundwork that we need to do as Zambia. So there's a lot of young upcoming publishers, but the work is still young. But if you really want quality work, advise already established firms. So for example, there is a DNK Consulting firm. I don't know if you've heard of DNK Consulting.
Yes, I know those guys. Text. Okay, only those you do not have another. What about?
All right, thank you.
Awesome, thank you very much, sir. Mr. Gift, you can come in with the question.
Yes, thank you. Good evening,
Gift,
everyone.
Are you in? Yes.
Yes. Can you get me?
Yes, we're able to get you, sir.
I came in a bit late, so I wouldn't really know if the question I'm about to ask has been discussed. But nevertheless, I would want to go ahead with it. Talking of academic excellence, most of the times when we're referring to academic excellence, we're referring to universities and colleges. And these universities and colleges across the world are renowned for producing illustrious and erudite academicians and scholars who make their name in the world by contributing immensely to the well of knowledge and academics. Now, what of in a situation where this person doesn't have the platform? Because even when we're referring to universities and colleges, we'll be talking of universities, for instance, such as Oxford, we're talking of universities such as Harvard. How would you advise a person who has found himself in a situation where the platform which they have been granted, they are not able to access such universities? Oxford, Harvard, in Zambia, we're talking of CBU, we're talking of UNZA. So they have limited platforms already. Their education institutions which they are going to doesn't have excellence in themselves. So how do they propel in achieving academic excellence? Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, sir, for such a good question. Well, of course, I understand you, but I'll still get to say that a visionary person, regardless of the situation, they'll still get where they want to be. And I have to mention to say that even the universities that we have in Zambia, UNZA and CBU, we have graduates that are doing amazing things. The guys graduating from those universities are doing amazing things, you see. So for me, I think even as we are at university, you know, like I'll give a practical example where here in Russia, especially at a level of a master's degree, like what I'm doing right now, at university level, it's not more of what the lecturers actually teach you. It's more of you yourself. How are you actually improving your skills, like skills of research? You see, how are you being true to yourself? So it is actually getting to be centered on you. And again, what you want to become. Because you see, even the path of academic excellence, it has to come from deep down your heart. What do you want to be? Because for one, like if you don't want to become a professor like myself, I believe for a bachelor's degree is enough, and then you get to do some other things that you want to achieve. But if you want to get into research industry, you see, into research, and of course contribute to the world with research and all that, definitely you need to take the path. You have to be strongly in academics. So I understand that universities, of course, they matter, but it's not by choice that people, they get to find themselves in that. But you see, as the Bible says, that time and chance is given to them all. To someone who has got a will, then the way is always created. So it's centered on you as an individual. What do you want to achieve? Where there's a will, there's a way. Yeah, that's how I would answer the question. I don't know if it's audible enough.
Wow, at this particular time, thank you very much, Mr. Nyambose, for answering the question. I hope Mr. Gift has really been helped. Through this year, how the Valors has been of great help to them. So if anybody is willing to come upon, you can just raise your hand so that you can just speak of how the Valors has been of great help. You can just unmute yourself, or maybe just by show of hand, then you can come on the scene.
Maybe can I say something?
Sure, sir.
All right. Well, I have to say this, that throughout the year 2020, I've been attending the meetings, and trust me, I've learned a lot, to see, and especially from the business point of view, and the management of the finances, and how we can actually maximize our financial base, you see. So I think these meetings, I just pray and hope that they get to continue. I believe a lot of young people out there, they are trying to find ways in which they can get on the right path. And let me just say great thanks to the people who are behind the organization of these meetings, that you guys, you are doing extremely good. And may you continue just to help us so that we don't actually take wrong paths in this walk of life. So that's what I can say. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Let me just recognize Mr. Musomat. My mentor is in the CEO for Asset, I believe is, yeah. And Mr. Elijah Munete, you can just wrap it up in a few minutes.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I hope and trust that everyone
you can just be precise. Yes, sir.
That has contributed to our lives ever since I joined the Valas.
Time if,
so many are the things that I've learned through the leadership training, and these Zoom calls have been having so much of it digested. So I would like to thank them, and hoping that this continues, because we see to it that a lot of coming forth. Thank you.
Awesome. At this point, conclude our meeting. So if any of
good evening. Good evening.
Person in, yes. Point in time, I'm saying that we're going to wrap up the meeting. Time is not with us. Sorry for the people that have not managed to come through. So if anyone wants a book by Mr. Francis, it's only going at 100 kwacha, how to make your first 100,000. So you can just contact me. And also if anybody wants for the printing, if you are an author and you're looking for a place where to print, you can just come through. At this point in time, I'll close the meeting, and the few words that I have, it is that even as we are pursuing to be the best version of ourselves, let us not only pursue to be qualified, but also to be knowledgeable, because it is another thing for you to attain a qualification and another thing to be knowledgeable. The moment when we are knowledgeable and we put in our best, I'm telling you, results will be seen, because it becomes a problem if we are only taking in, having such. Let us take in and learn, and also at the same time exercise, because the moment when you continue to take in and you're not exercising, or what happens is that you become obese, and at the end of the day, health problems and health complications will come in. Same with knowledge. The moment when you continue just taking in, you'll be one who is puffed up with knowledge. At the end of the day, you're not applying. Then you will say that no, it's of no use. So even as such meetings are continuing, let us also try by all means to be practical. And I wish you all the best for 2021, and I believe we're equipped. The Valasa, do you have any last remarks?
Yes, thank you very kindly for staying up to the end of this meeting. We apologize for a lot of time that we have taken in. It was our last meeting, and we needed to make sure that the people are complaining. Usually the meetings we have questions, and there was one question. There was a lady that wanted to ask a question. I would like to us to give her a chance. She really wanted to ask a question. I heard a voice. She said, "Good evening. Can you just kindly quickly ask your question or your contribution?" I heard the lady shouting, "Good evening, good evening."
Good evening. Hello?
Yes, yes, we can get you quickly.
Okay, I had this question for as well as working while he's doing his PhD. But how do you really manage your time?
Okay, thank you so much. I'll try to be quick. Managing the time is, well, you yourself, like, what do you want to really achieve? You see, if you are true to your goals and you really want to achieve, you actually remain true to the time. It's not easy for me to pursue my second master's and the PhD at the same time. It's rough, I cannot lie to you, but you see, you just have to be true to your goals and what you want to be in life. And once you are true to your goals, plans, somebody to tell me to say, do this, do this, do this, to true to my goals.
Can you get me?
Dr. Arts, I believe you have concluded the meeting. My network was very bad.